Well, howdy, 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 y'all. It's been a hot second, but we're back with another One Piece review, recap. I don't know what I do. I just like talking about the chapter when they come out, and I have a lot of things to say about this chapter. We got a really cool cover spread today from Film Red. I'm going to see that today, so I'm not going to pay attention that much to this because I want no spoilers. I'm literally going to go and see Film Red later today, so really excited for that. But we don't have to talk about the cover story, so I don't got to spend like 30 minutes just talking about the cover story today. We can just get right into the chapter. And of course, we start out with ya boy Caribou. He's here, he's back, he's talking, baby. So I remembered about the deal that, if he helped him, he would drop him off out of Wano. A lot of people thought that he stowed away, but obviously, this was always part of the deal. Why did they put him in the barrel again? Probably just for the gag. I really like this panel of Zoro just being like, I heard you helped our captain out. I appreciate it. Now see you around. Goodbye. and then Caribou's like, no, I don't want to be at this government facility. I don't want to be at this government island, sir. This is not part of the deal. But I'm sure that this will come back as something meaningful, because we know that Caribou already knows about two of the ancient weapons. And there's a good chance that we're going to learn more about the third ancient weapon here. So him knowing about all three, that's a lot of good information that someone else, whoever he's being hired by, because we know that he's in contact with someone, or at least he knows that he wants to give information to someone else. Probably Blackbeard, but it could be somebody else. So half of the crew over here, they're just still kind of exploring the place. I'm not sure what their actual, goal and objective are on these guys, besides just, hanging out, seeing what this is all up to. I'm wondering if they're thinking that this is part of getting to the next road poneglyph, or if they're just like, I'm just here, we're just gonna have a fun time. By the way, I'm wondering now if Lilith even has a second eye, because right here, it looks like we should be able to see her eye. So I don't know if this is just some artistic choice, just being like, oh, we can't see her eye yet because there's something secret under there, or if there's actually just nothing under there, because what this looks like right here is that there's just actually nothing under there. It may just be an artistic choice, though. Lilith explains that the entire island runs on fire right here, and then Frankie says, doesn't that burn through a load of natural resources? And she says, oh, I'm always looking into alternative fuels. And then she explains later that she wants to, somehow harness the power of the sun, like Doc Ock, like Spider-Man 2, the power of the sun. But I'm wondering what this alternative fuel thing is. Here's a little theory of mine, because we find out later that she has probably a way to make artificial devil fruits. So, crazy theory that's probably not true, but what if the way this island is powered is that Vegapunk has an army of clones of someone, maybe even Ace, who all have the flame fruit, and they're using their powers to power the island with their fire powers, and that's the alternative fuel that she came up with, creating an army of cyborgs, clones, robots, or whatever, using the flame fruit to create power. Now, do I think that's true? I don't know, but we have signs going to that. We know that Vegapunk can make clones of other people, and we know that Vegapunk has been working on making artificial devil fruits. And we've seen Momo's fruit, and then this new Swim Sim fruit, that there can be two of these types of fruits in the world at the same time. So two people can have the same fruit. So what if she has a bunch of people with the flame fruit, or the magma fruit, or something like that, and that is what she's using to create an infinite source of energy. And that it doesn't matter, if they have feelings or not, because they're just robots. That's probably just what's in her mind right now. Just I can just create an army of people to make my electricity, my power. We've already seen in Mary Joie the moving sidewalk where the slaves underground were being forced to push it the entire time. So we've seen a way of a group of slaves creating power in some way underground. So it's not out of the question. It's not implausible, is all I'm saying. That would be crazy and insane. Do I think that will actually happen? Probably not, but it was just a little fun theory that I'm throwing out there. I'm throwing that out there. The big thing going on in this chapter is that we see a serif version of Jinbei. Now, I said last chapter that because we saw Jinbei as a kid already, that we probably weren't going to see a Seraph Jinbei. Completely wrong. Taking the L on that, for sure. My prediction was completely wrong on that, because we see him right here, right now. So now we have seen 4 different Shichibukai as Seraphs so far. We have got to now see a Doflamingo Seraph and a Moria. I really want to see those 2. Law and Buggy and Weevil, those are like the second generation of warlords that we've seen. So it could just be like the first generation, like the pre-time skip warlords. So I'm not expecting those 3, but we gotta see a Doflamingo and a Moria one. I'm really hoping. You know, right here, Seraph Jinbei has this little bracelet on right here that has like a little bit of water thing on it. I wonder if that's just like a thing that Jinbei's always had, or if this is like some special sort of bracelet thing. I don't know. I noticed it, so I'm just putting it down here that I noticed it. The fight between Seraph Jinbei and this crew of Straw Hats was really good. This is the first time in like a very, very long time, maybe even since Thriller Bark, that we've seen multiple Straw Hats taking on one person. That's not something that usually happens. Usually it's like a 2v2 or a 1-on-1 with the Straw Hats, if they even do anything in an arc. Sometimes they're just not even there. So actually seeing like Robin and Usopp and Nami and Sanji and Frankie all working together towards one enemy, that's awesome. So we find out right here that this Jinbei clone also has the swim fruit, the same fruit that Senior Pink had back in Dressrosa. You know, Frankie knows that. He's like, hey, I've fought against this before. This is crazy. This is wild. I honestly did not think that we were going to think or see or hear about Senior Pink ever again in this story. A lot of like the little fodder characters, you know, in older arcs like Dressrosa, like when did you think that him of all people was gonna come back up? But he did. Obviously, I don't think that Senior Pink is dead or anything. This has got to be an artificial devil fruit because we know that Vegapunk has been working on that. I'm wondering though how Vegapunk came across a way to do this in the first place. How are Senior Pink and Vegapunk connected? The only thing I can think of is that Senior Pink worked under Doflamingo, and Caesar also worked under Doflamingo, and then Caesar also worked with Vegapunk. That's my 7 degrees of Kevin Senior Pink, but I have no idea how Vegapunk came across that fruit. Maybe it's not important, maybe I'm thinking too much about it, but I was just like, how does that and that come together? We also find out right here that this Seraphim right here can use Fishman Karate, which is a big deal. It's not so much of a nature versus nurture thing. Like, these clones know how to do the things that the originals were taught. So it has parts of their history and personality in them. It's not just their genetic coding by itself. It's not just a clone that's completely separate of them. Like, their memories and techniques and the things that they learned in their life were also passed down to this clone. This is all really interesting stuff, and I think it's all going to converge into somehow them getting their humanities back and being free from being controlled, because being controlled is not something that One Piece is all about. One Piece is all about people being individuals and finding freedom. So all these guys, I don't think they're just gonna like die or be defeated or something. I think that they're eventually going to become their own people and be free. Now right here, something I don't like right here is that Frankie uses a beam right here, you know, squares him right in the head, you know, uses his cool radical beam, and it looks like later in the chapter that it did not do too much to the pacifista. Because so far, I'm pretty sure the radical beam has one-shotted every single person that he's used it on post-time skip. Every single villain that he's fought and shot with it, they've gone down instantly. The numbers back on Onigashima, he went once. That's all it took. I'm still under the impression that that radical beam, if he had decided to use it on Big Mom back during the raid, that would have taken out Big Mom. There was no proof until now that could have happened. But now we finally see someone who took the shot pretty well. Now we're meeting all of the new Vegapunks. So we meet Edison over here. Edison's okay. I like Edison. I like his little country accent. You know, he's got a bit of a southern drawl on him, or at least that's just how the translators are interpreting it. The designs of all of these satellites are all over the place. Some of them look like normal humans, from what I can see from like Lilith. And then we have Atlas, which is like a gigantic child. And then we have Edison and Pythagoras, which are they just look like actual robots. There's nothing humanoid about these people. Like we see right here, Pythagoras isn't even like a big thing. It's like a tiny little thing. Why would you build this? Why would you turn this into yourself, Vegapunk? Do you just think that like for your research and you're like, this is the wisdom one, so he just does a lot of analytical data and stuff. He reads everything and kind of interprets everything that everyone else is doing. That's his job. So maybe he doesn't need, you know, a big powerful body. Maybe that's all he needs is 2 hands and he can just figure out the rest on his own. But these designs are all over the place, and I definitely like some more than others. I think Pythagoras is my least favorite, and then my favorite so far, I mean, it's got to be Shaka. York is definitely the weirdest. Like, oh, this is getting weird right now. So it seems that she does she's desired, so she does all the things like the eating and the sleeping and the other things. So I guess none of the other ones have to. So I was under the impression that these guys were more separate, but they really are somehow the same person if this one can do all those desires, so that none of the other ones have to eat or sleep, so they can just all work and work and work, while this specific one just does all of the messy parts of being a human, I guess. So they're all still human somehow. Oh god, Pythagoras, you're just like a little weird ball creature. Why would you do that, Vegapunk? Why would you do that? You're a weirdo, Vegapunk. Shaka is so cool looking. He's got that Daft Punk helmet, and then he's got this he's definitely the coolest looking out of all of the Vegapunks. Though, he's gotta be hiding something under the mask. I hope it's not just like a weird Pythagoras thing where he's just like a little thing under there. I hope that he's not something too goofy under there. I'm sure we'll find out later in this arc, but we'll see. Maybe it's just the brain in a jar. I said that Vegapunk could just be like a little brain in a jar or something, so still high hopes for that. Now, something that I did predict last chapter is that there was something weird going on with the boots. Everyone was putting on these interesting boots, and there was like a big, emphasis on them putting on these weird Dom boots, and sure enough, they're magnets. They got magnets. Magnets, baby. So we end the chapter with a big old bombshell. Kind of. This is kind of a lot of stuff that we probably could have inferred, but this is just more confirmation on it. Vegapunk says that Egghead Island is sort of like an island of the past, because a civilization from 900 years ago, which we know as the Great Kingdom. Some people say the Ancient Kingdom, but I think it's officially called the Great Kingdom. Apparently, they had the similar technology that they do in Egghead right now, which, I mean, it was something that I had thought of before, but it's awesome that we're finally getting confirmation about it. Who would have thunk that the Ancient Kingdom was maybe inhabited by the ancient giants? Maybe we should have figured out that those two probably had something to do with each other, because everybody calls them ancient. Kinda like a doy. This opens up a lot of questions, though, because futuristic giants, that's crazy. I'm not sure if what we're looking at right here is some sort of armor, or if it's some sort of cyborg or robot. Like, it could be either. This obviously reminds me of the giant mech that we've seen earlier in the chapter that Lilith was riding. Lilith looked like they were riding in the center of it, and you know who else rode inside a giant in the center of themselves, Moria back in Thriller Bark. Just saying, that cannot be a coincidence. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that all giants have a little place in them for you to control them? No, obviously not. But it brings the question in, is the big mech that Lilith was riding earlier in the arc alive, or is it just a robot? How in the world did the 20 kingdoms that would eventually form the world government defeat this civilization? My obvious guess is that it has something to do with the ancient women. Oh, another thing with ancient in the title. Who would have thunk? Now, we've already seen, what probably is Uranus destroy an entire kingdom with Leluja a couple of chapters ago. So that's one obvious way to get rid of a kingdom. But these guys look futuristic. How could they not fight that back? How is our grand fleet gonna take on what this ancient kingdom could not? We see that this giant mech / armored giant right here was stabbed. That's how this thing died, or was deactivated. That's how we know. So somehow, what is this? Is this just like a tree, or just another giant piece of metal? Was this giant fighting other giants right now? Also, why is this here to begin with? Did Vegapunk find this and bring this to his own island? Or was this one always here and this is why Vegapunk set up shop? Is Vegapunk from the ancient kingdom? Is Vegapunk 900 years old? That is something I am also wondering. I still have a feeling that he could actually be from there, and that's why he is so smart. It's not just because, oh, he's just smarter than everyone else and he just came across all this stuff. Maybe he just wasn't that smart, then he came across all this stuff and then he became smarter, or he could have always been smart and came from this civilization and has figured out a way to live through forever, either through a devil fruit or science or satellites or something. But yeah, the fact that this is right here brings in a lot of questions. I don't think that Egghead is the actual ancient kingdom. I don't know if the ancient kingdom is where the One Piece is. Those could be two completely different islands that we know of. Could Laugh Tale be the ancient kingdom? I don't know, man. This is just crazy right now. One Piece is crazy right now. Like, does this gigantic robot right here have anything to do with the tiny robots that we found on the moon during the Enel cover story? Because we know that there are weird ancient robots on the moon right now that have wings on them, kind of similar to the Lunarians. But those are really little guys, especially compared to an ancient giant. So what do those two have to do with each other? Did one of them defeat the other? I have no idea. Are they from the same place, or were they fighting each other? Man, this one panel right here opens up so much crazy stuff, and I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm still wondering what is actually going to happen next, because right now we have Shaka talking to all the Straw Hats, kind of have them in a bind, so I guess now we're gonna finally see what Vegapunk wants with the Straw Hats, because we don't really know. The Straw Hats are just kind of there to be there, to chill, hang about. Bonnie's on a mission. Bonnie's on a mission at this point, but she's about the only one there who has an idea of what's going on, or what the next part of this arc is going to be about. Yeah, that's the chapter right there. Really, really good stuff. Not my favorite of this arc or anything. I think that the last couple have been a little better than this one, but the fight was really good. I'm just still not completely 100% on the designs and some of the stuff on the rest of the satellites. That's the thing that's kind of just like, it's a little weird. But whatever. I'll see y'all next week, but I may even see you before then, because I am actually on my way out to go see Film Red tonight in the theaters on the big screen, baby. So I may make a little bit of a video after that too. So maybe take a look out for that next week as well. I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good one, I do declare.